Can you guys hear me? Testing, testing. Yes, no? Testing, testing. Anyone can hear me? Can anyone hear me? Testing, testing, testing. Alright, you guys can hear me. Alright, perfect. Yeah, quick update on my COVID. Yeah, my wife tested positive, which Tom pretty much, I think, mentioned it, here and there. So I got yesterday off. Tom covered for me. He was nice enough to do that. No, I didn't get a new mic yet. Not yet. Tom actually, after blasting me in the entire server, he ordered me a nice pink mic. But hopefully I get that tomorrow. I'll have that on for you guys on Monday. So we'll see how that goes. Other than that though, yeah, I started getting symptoms. I guess you want to say COVID related symptoms, like yesterday morning or so. And then I think about like lunchtime or so, I ended up getting a fever and all that going on. And so yeah, I couldn't do anything about that. And today, after I woke up with 103 fever of some sort, I ended up going to get tested for COVID. So we'll see what the results are, how it goes, and we'll go from there. Other than that, I think everybody made money today off that SPRT. I think that was crazy today. Tom, I don't know how much he made. I'm sure he made a lot though. But everybody was pretty much on board with that, so it was nice to see that everybody had an opportunity to close the week green. So that was a good note for everyone. Unfortunately, it looks like the fun is gonna come to an end though. As you see, I pretty much have Spy up on my screen, but two scenarios here. As I dive into Spy right now, two scenarios that I'm looking at is either we get some kind of blow off top, which I'll pretty much show you guys what I'm looking at. Here's my scenario one. Either we're gonna get a blow off top here right to that 458 mark or so. And I think I could move this up a little bit here, just to touch those trend lines here. Yeah, that touches those weights. I think it's right around that 456, 457 mark. There was a golden sweep that came through. That was pretty wild. I'll actually tell you guys what it was. Let me see where it was. Where was that? Where was that? It was a 452 September 10th expiration that came through. Buyer was almost 7 million. That was wild. So it kind of tells you that it may not be over yet. There might be a bit of a more squeeze on come Monday. I know a few traders got into spy puts primarily before close because today did feel like the ending of this. But what typically happens when market's running pretty much on overdrive is that you're going to get that extended run regardless, even if it's on low volume. I'm sure you guys saw the dicks, the jacks, when you guys did the flow in the chat. And it looks like there was no buyers right now. So it's not a good sign, but it just means that you're near the end. You could get that last minute squeeze. So we could see that 457, 458 mark if we have more gas on Monday. Otherwise, the fun just basically ends come Monday. That's pretty much what I'm anticipating. My other scenario here was I think this trend line right about here, which I'll probably put this one in green so you guys see the difference. Let's see real quick. This was the other trend line that I was looking at where you kind of get just a bump to that 452 mark, which pretty much aligns with that golden sweep that came out on SPY. So that could be scenario two that I'm looking at. You get that gap up on Monday, and we pretty much see the rest of the week, in that slump where we start slowly dropping off. or it could be something rash. What usually happens when you're at the top of the market is that what I've understood is that a lot of times you'll get news. Basically, it's usually news based. It'll be some kind of trigger, whether it be in the middle of the night, who knows, and then you'll just see the market just drop. So it's usually news related. So we'll see what's gonna come out of that. I know that they had some kind of killings over at the Cantubal airport, if I'm not mistaken. There was like 12 people that died. If that escalates, I did see that Biden actually wanted to retaliate. He was vowing to retaliate. Not saying that would be a trigger. It's something to think about. But like I said, 452 mark would be one scenario. The other scenario is running up to that 456, 457 area. So that's two scenarios I'm looking at. If we were to drop, first level support that I'm likely looking at is right around this area right here, right around that 425 mark. If we were to really get that significant of a drop off, I think that's where we're going. There is another support level right around here, which is right around that 435 area, close enough to 436. That's another area to look at. So we'll see exactly what the scenario is. I'm hoping for the gap down because I am in Tesla puts. If you follow my small account, which you guys actually saw, today wasn't actually a great day mentally. If you saw, my symptoms kind of got the best of me. I sold MA before it popped at $2. I could have got out on a break even at least, the best. And then I got in on the SPY golden sweep, but then I ended up having to go test for COVID, so I couldn't monitor it, couldn't risk it. So I got out. But hopefully we don't get that gap up. That's what I'm actually hoping for. And then I kind of actually, yeah, I know I paper handed. I know. It is what it is. I mean, hopefully you guys actually got in. I think the goal of the actual small account is pretty much to get everybody else the right entry points. If you notice, a lot of my entry points are actually higher than what you guys are able to get in at. So that's what I was actually trying to do for the best of everyone. So pretty much looking at SPY, that's the two scenarios we're looking at, up and down. Let's see. One thing I didn't want to go over is because I actually take a look at myself is the next week's economics. Let's see what data is actually coming out. Come Monday, it looks like we have pending home sales. Tuesday, consumer confidence index. That'll be something to take a look at. Wednesday, ADP report, PMI, ISM. That's something to also take a look at. And then later on in the week, of course, we get the jobless claims every Thursday. And the non-farm payrolls will be key come Friday. So definitely something you always want to keep on the back of your mind, especially when you're holding positions overnight. You definitely want to be aware of what data is coming out the next day. Other than that, let's take a look at a few charts. One that I actually had on my mind that I actually missed a little bit of the run on this was Costco. This is actually one chart that it's just been going crazy. If you notice, it went up practically from that 308 mark all the way up, pushing 460. That was an insane run. But as we approach the top again, what I want to look at is where the resistance lies. And this is where now you're going to see where the downside is going to come into play. So if we take a look and see exactly where the resistance line actually lies, you'll actually notice we hit that resistance line right there, and now we actually just hit it again. As you see, it's already starting to reverse. So this is something to definitely keep in mind. Of course, if you were to look at support, if it does end up continuing that reverse, this is definitely that level to keep in mind, especially if we do see the market start to turn, especially going into the middle of the week. That's definitely something, because just like as fast as it goes up, it can come down just as fast. Because as you see here, the last time it actually hit, it came right back down, and it actually did a head and shoulders, and it dropped right off. So that's something to keep in mind. That would be actually a juicy drop right there, from that 450-ish down to about 390. But that's something where you want to do a put spread. You want to go out a few weeks, up to maybe a month or so, and that way you'll be able to capitalize on that, being that the market's at all-time highs. So that's one that I was actually looking at to do a put debit spread for an outdated position. We'll see how that could play out. I haven't looked exactly at strikes and all that. If it does appeal to me, I'll definitely maybe add that into the small account, so you guys will know when I do that. I'll probably look into a little bit more of extended, outdated swings basically for the small account if we do see the market start to turn around, because then you don't want to do short dated positions. It's going to be a little bit harder. Um, yes, Sig was saying a lot of Tesla puts were coming through that. Yeah, I saw a lot of flow coming out with Tesla puts. That's actually what got me in after I got out of the COVID testing. I actually saw that, and that's what actually made me get into it. As you see, Tesla's been really stagnant. Despite all the news, all the AI data that came out, you would expect it to be pushing that 750 level. It just wasn't. It looked like it's just been stagnant. I know that Tay was actually scalping Tesla all day today, so he made bank on that. I'm assuming he went with naked calls, probably in the money or some sort, where he was just scalping. But I definitely expect Tesla to pull back next week, and so hopefully those plays from the small account, it'll pay off. Other than that, anyone have any other specific trades or actually stock that you're looking at that could benefit everyone? Not individually that you may be holding, but could benefit anyone. I'll take a few requests, and we'll go from there. Apple. By the way, I actually wanted to look at Facebook. I may take a look at Facebook. I saw Facebook went wild today. We'll see if we take a look at that. Oh, believe it or not, actually, Apple looks like it could make one more push, and that could actually line up with the move from SPY. If SPY pushes to 452 or 457, 458 as we were projecting, either scenario, it could have one more push right up to that 154 level, if that be the case. But that would mean that this would have to make a big move to hit that resistance level. But this is also pretty much in a channel by itself right here. If it breaks this channel right here, then that resistance level, that upper resistance level won't even matter. If you see that. Right, so that's not even gonna matter. Especially if SPY actually runs all the way up to 457, 458. That will be insanely crazy. But it's not something ideally that I would expect. But it's a possibility. If I was looking at support, see where we can find some support at. Let's see, somewhere around here. I think support is somewhere around here. Yeah, I think we're looking at support right about near here. I think this is the first level support, right where that gap is. I think you're looking. This is your first level support that you're likely looking at. Right into that gap for right here, where the green line goes right through. And that is at the mark of 137. That'll be that support level that I'm looking at. However, being that Apple actually has their event coming up too, the Apple iPhone coming up, so that's a catalyst that could actually push that to that 154 level if it's able to hold. So that's definitely something to keep in mind also, thinking about this upcoming event. That's something that could be a catalyst to get to that 154 level where it tops out and then likely pulls back with the market at that point. Believe it or not, I actually had Myrna puts. I don't know if you guys remember me and Avery yesterday. We were actually looking at Myrna yesterday, and I actually bought Myrna puts before close. And since I ended up waking up, I woke up and right into the market open, and I went to sleep, and I completely forgot that I had Myrna puts. But if you guys notice, it dropped almost $20 today. By the time that I woke up, I think it was almost around 11 something in the morning, Eastern time. I realized that I had Myrna puts. When I opened up, I was up like $600 each call, which was insanely crazy. But I pretty much, we were looking at what you want to say, maybe a bear flag here. This is what it basically did. It broke that support line, and it actually dropped. I still actually have it dropping more. I have it going down to the 343 level, which is where my support level is. So I expect that to continue dropping. I think that the entire move up was overdone, and we're going to see this get to a support where we'll see from that support level of 342-ish. We'll see where it goes from there. If any more news comes out, and it's likely going to be more news based, that's going to trigger the stock to move up or down for right now. Let's see what else. Everyone wants to look at BBIG. The funny part is that I don't even know how I ended up buying 50 shares at close. That was insanely crazy. I just did that out of the blue. Actually, let me look at the daily. Let's see what we're looking at on the daily. I haven't looked at this far on this chart. So let's see. Our highest point was 1162. All right. So we can definitely get to that about I want to say 880 mark, depending how fast we run up. That's definitely something to keep an eye on. Now, if we break that, then we're going into some SPR type stuff, which I know if you guys are all familiar with some guy named Geenie in our server. He's a little bit of a clown, but I love him. But somehow he ended up finding this one, and I actually got this trade out of him. So I literally went last moment after close, and I bought 50 shares for everyone to see that I bought it in the small account. But I do expect this to get to that $8.80 mark. Mentally, I actually had it going to $10. From that $10 mark, then we'll see if the FOMO kicks in, the volume kicks in, and we get that SPRT type swing. Of course, it looks like it's gonna have to break that all-time high of 1162, I think it is, 1163. I had over my cursor, and then we'll see what it does from there. I think at that point it'll be a better time to reevaluate what the upside is. I think it's a little bit too early. We still have a lot of barriers to break, but definitely that 880-ish level, right around there, 870 to 880 level is the level to watch for it to break, and then to break that all-time high at 1163, and then we'll be able to reevaluate, and probably we'll be talking about it on another daily recap Monday or Tuesday, and we'll see where it's at that point. PayPal. I haven't looked at PayPal just yet. Let's see what PayPal looks like. Let's take a look at this. Let's see. Are we making universe head and shoulders? Has a nice gap. I mean, I don't know if it's gonna fill that gap. It might test it. Ooh, and that seems like a really big move there for it to make. This was a prior gap, which I do like to outline the prior gaps because sometimes they actually act as a resistance level. So that was a prior gap, and I feel like I shorted that. Yeah, I did. I think I could drop that down just a bit more. There we go. So pretty much if it gets right over that zone of 280.54ish, I think that's where that candle is. 280.50. Then I can see that trying to approach that gap if SPY does really push to that 457, 458 level, and we see that. Maybe we could get a strong push here. I'm not really expecting it, to be honest with you. I could see it get right up to that 281-ish level at the top of this gap, and then we'll see where it does from there. But I'm not really liking this as much anymore. It's been really stagnant, but today was a nice move for it to see. But again, if it gets over that 280.50 level, then I think it's worth noting. ADS, I haven't even looked at that stock in quite a while. Whoa, that was a nasty drop off. Why did this drop? Anybody know? Was it news related? That's a horrible drop. Let's see if I can find a support level. See if we find a support. I think it's right about there. I'll say that support's right around there. And well, yeah, it broke right to that support level of the prior high. So yeah, it looks like that's coming down to about the 297-ish, 298 level, where we'll see a bounce there from that standpoint, which kind of aligns with the market. You might get a bounce right back up to this 321-ish level, where that kind of aligns if we get a blow off top on Monday on SPY, and then we're likely going to see that downside continue and go down to trendline support. That's pretty much what I will be looking at. So you'll get that bounce up to 321-ish, 320 near 322, and then we'll get that drop down to support where you'll see that 220, likely a 228 level. I did want to look at Facebook actually. Hello, are you guys still with me? I just saw reconnecting. Are you guys with me? Anyone? Oh, okay, just making sure. I saw something saying reloading. My bad. All right, so I was looking at resistance level. Like I said, I was pretty much plotting out to see where I wanted to short in this market, especially that we hit that top. This is one where I'm looking at a bit more of a push on Facebook. So I can see that 380-ish level coming into play. I want to say close enough to 381, 382. And I think that's the level where you'll likely see me add some puts. Hopefully I get that into the small account. I'm expecting to try and squeeze that in there. Let's see if I can get a nice put play on Facebook there. Let's see if we can actually find a nice support level actually, because that's going to be key to know that. So let's see what's the first level of support we're looking at. All right, so this is one support level. That support level on Facebook is 359. That's one key level of support we're looking at. Is this another support level here? Yeah, it is. So this is another key level of support that we're looking at with those wicks all aligned. Let's draw that support line right there. Let me get that lined up. All right, there we go. And that level is pretty much right around that 365, mid 365 level that we're looking at for the first support. And then second support, we're looking at primarily that 350, high 358 level that we're looking at for support there. So that's going to be something I'm going to look at to definitely short once we get up to that 381, 382 level. I'm definitely going to be looking to get shorts there. Because if we see this usually falls, when it falls, it usually falls hard. I mean, Facebook's just one of those names. When it decides to run, it runs. But when it falls, it's just no stopping it. As we see how steep these drops are from where the peaks are, it's just insanely crazy. So that's something I'm going to look at. That's one name that I'll have on my radar, so you guys will likely see when I enter for the small account. I definitely need to flag this on my watch list. Let me flag that on my watch list. Did everyone get to see my Tesla chart, or do you guys need to see my Tesla chart? I can go over it real quick. And why is this all messed up? But for a second, I thought I was on extended hours. Alright, so let me fix this chart. Pretty much a fat wedge right now is what you're looking at. So fat wedge. We are approaching resistance, if you see. Now, I could have gotten in early. It's a little bit hard to say that. Like I said, there's two different scenarios where you only get a $2 move from here on SPY, in my estimation, or you can get that 457, 458 push on Monday. In which case, if we get that push to 457, 458, we could top off on Tesla at 723ish. In which case, then we'll see the downside come into play. So that's going to be it's a little bit hard to time, especially being the top of the market and the top of Tesla correlating with the market. Other than that, though, the other thing, if I go into smaller time frames, which you're now going to see, is an expanding triangle. And so, as you see the expanding triangle, we're near that resistance level, which we could pop to 319. If we break above that 319 level, then like I said, that's 720. Here it's showing the 735. That would be a pretty big move. If I'm not, yeah, about 735. Wow, is my lines correlated here? Let me actually move out just a little bit. Yeah, that's messed up my resistance line. Let's move that down. Something there was not aligned right. There we go. Now we can zoom in. So now you can see that top resistance level of that 723. And so the other thing that you're looking at on more of a micro level is also this channel, which I think is actually better viewed on the 5 minute. And you see this channel right here, where if we break the support level, then of course that's when the gap fill below comes into play, and then we'll see how that put spread that we executed, how that plays out. All right. Other than that, I think we covered primarily a lot of charts. For the most part, a lot of big tech names. I'll be looking at plays for the newsletter later on tonight and tomorrow morning, so stay tuned. But I think that wraps up most of everything here for right now. Hopefully, if you took BBIG or you took the test of put spreads, hopefully that pays out. I don't plan to paper hand any one of those. So we'll see what happens. But other than that, we'll wrap it up for tonight. We'll be back Monday night. We'll see how the market does. Maybe we get a big gap up. Maybe we just drop right out the gates. We'll see. And I expect it's going to be news that's going to drop us if that be the case come Monday. Otherwise, we're likely going to see that $7 million call sweep for 452. We'll see how it plays out. Other than that, though, I think that wraps it up for us today. But you guys have a good night then, all right?